How's it going, guys? Tom with Breakless TV here, bringing you a video on how to do the Harley combo. Gonna look a little something like this. So, how are we gonna learn this? I'm gonna break it down and do a few simple steps for you guys. So the first step is gonna be this low to the ground fair. So the way I'm doing this is you'll notice that the lowest jump I can make Harley do is this high. But you can cancel the up momentum of the jump with an attack. You can do this with any attack. So we're going to focus on doing her forward air. You want to get this down. This is really great just for Harley play in general, just being able to approach like this. But you really want to make sure that you're 100% on doing this as low to the ground as possible. If you're doing it too high, I would really suggest you change your controls. I have a very helpful video on that I'm going to put down in the description. If you notice on my controller display, I have my jump on left trigger, and I'm using the stick for attack. So I have two separate fingers to do this motion, as opposed to the default controls where you have jump on A and you have attack on X, and it's doable, but it's just kind of hard to have, you know, both fingers doing one thing. So this is the first thing. If you find yourself doing this, instead of getting the attack out, you're just doing the attack a little bit too early. That's not so bad. You're just slow down, don't rush it. Make sure it's controlled. Make sure you're hitting jump one time and attack one time. You don't want to be mashing this, because the second you start mashing it, that's when your combo gets inconsistent. Once you're comfortable with this, I would add in the fastfall. So you want to be holding down while you're inputting this. Again, since I'm using the right stick for attacking, I can hold straight down on my left stick and be attacking with the right stick to get this to come out. The nice thing about this fastfall is right when the attack ends, you are guaranteed to be on the ground for the next piece. So, once you have that, I want you to add the jab in. So her jab string, it's her forward attack by default. It's this 4-hit string, right? You only want to do the first 2 hits. After this second hit, there's a lot of things you can do. I'll go into that in a little bit later, but we're just going to do 1-2 jump. Again, you really don't want to be mashing this. If you're hitting your attack as many times as you can, you're going to mess it up more often than not. You really want to shoot for clean inputs. So this is just 1-2 jump, and then we're going to put in our forward attack. Looks just like this. And right now, just focus on doing this. Make sure you're doing 1-2 jab. Make sure you're doing the short hop forward air. And I would be fast falling. It's just going to be good practice at this point. Oh. And honestly, guys, I played Harley a lot in closed alpha. It's kind of hard. You're going to mess it up. I'm really, really rusty. I don't play Harley that much anymore. So don't be too hard on yourself. It's kind of a difficult thing to do, especially if you've never done anything like this in Smash, you know, Brawlhalla, anything like that. So now you have the first kind of small loop you can do. I call this like loop 1. And it's just this. Oh. There you go. Just like that. So what are the advantages to doing this? It's not the first thing I showed you. The first advantage is it's a lot less punishing. This first forward air, or all of them, the hitbox comes out really fast and it's really big. So you don't have to hit it completely close to the ground for this to come out. It's pretty lenient. The second thing is, you use this all the time. Just get into corner push. Sometimes it's nice to push them into the corner. When you get really, really advanced, you're going to start tailoring the combo to kind of keep the character in control and, you know, keep your opponent where you want them. So, again, just a couple things to think about if you're having a hard time with this. Try to keep really close to Shaggy. If you notice while I'm doing this, my right stick, my movement, I'm making tiny little adjustments based on, you know, where he is, where I am at the time, where I want to try to be closer to him. Sometimes I'm hitting forward a little bit, sometimes I'm holding straight down, but it's almost always some combination of holding down and holding down forward. And then the other thing don't mash. Really, just make sure all your inputs are very, very clean. If you're wailing on this forward attack, you're gonna start getting some crazy stuff going on, and it's just not good long term. Even if maybe if I mash I can get it out more often, it's really bad for you long term to be doing that. Just slow it down, practice the inputs and try to do it as clean as possible. The last thing is, if you're having a hard time after this getting the jabs to come out, make sure you're fast falling. I hold down the whole time. If you get a little high, it just helps you stay grounded. So really quick, you got that first loop down. Honestly, go into a game with it. Just practice that kind of first loop and get really comfortable hitting it on opponents, because the next bit, personally, I find adds a lot more difficulty. But with this first loop, we're going to talk about this jab 1-2 really quick. You can do a ton of things out of this. You can do neutral attack, you can do down attack, and since you can jump, you can do all sorts. You can do any of your jump attacks. You can do confetti gun. Oh. You can do hammer. I don't really recommend that, but if you think they're gonna dodge, that baits out the dodge really nice. And of course, you can do down air, which brings us into our next loop. So, just a thing to think about when you're doing these loops. You want to, end them in a way that puts the opponent in the most disadvantaged spot possible. So at the beginning of this video, you see I ended it like this to try and launch him off the stage. But get creative with it. There's no one way to end it, and flexibility is king in these types of games, especially, they're getting really high percent, they're falling out of my combo. Try to end it early. Or you're playing twos, and their opponent is coming to break them out of your combo. You end it early, pop them up, get the ignite buff on them. The ignite debuff. So, now, I'm going to show you the kind of the core of the loop, and it's going to be jab 1-2, jump down air. Oh, you see, mess it up all the time. Jump down air, forward attack. Just focus on this. There's a couple things that make this go really wrong. The first thing is jumping too high. So, I put him on dodge. And you jump too high, he dodges out of it. You gotta hit it as low to the ground as possible. And this one can be a little tricky. This is why I recommend that you worry about the jab 1-2 fair, because I think it's a lot easier to hit, and you just while you practice, you don't have to worry about hitting this really close to the ground, because if you're not close, he does like to slip out of it quite often. So just focus on doing this. So that's another thing, right? If you do it too close to the ground, Harley will land before you get the forward air out, which is really annoying. It's really there's a sweet spot in it. If you find this happening to you, see that was too high. If you find this happening to you, you don't want to be holding fast fall while you're doing this attack. If you're holding fast fall, I find that Harley lands a lot more often, and the forward air doesn't like to come out. The other thing you want to think about is being on top of your opponent when you go for this down air. Really want to be as close to him as possible to get all these moves to come out and combo in the way that you're looking for. Once you get that piece down, it's just about stringing them together. There's a lot of concepts to think about when you're doing this. Controlling your opponent, pushing them the direction you want them to go. Really, you can kind of walk them all over the stage if they're not being proactive about getting out. Another thing is when you practice, you can practice on idle or recovery. Recovery adds. Let's start with idle. So idle, this Shaggy isn't going to do anything. He's just going to sit there. Oh, just going to sit there. He's not going to hold any buttons. He's just going to let me wail on him, right? So what's the difference between this and recovery? The recovery, he's going to be holding down and into the stage, and you'll see him try to wiggle out of it. You know, he'll dodge sometimes. He'll try to push forward towards you and take any kind of control he can. So when you're first learning, go ahead and put him on idle. It'll make it a lot easier to hit, and you know, kind of build up that confidence. Oh, hey, I can hit this combo. It's not that bad. Once you can hit it consistently, put him on dodge. This is how you're gonna see if your combo is airtight as possible. One thing to note about dodge is that the computer, the bot, will dodge the very frame he is allowed to dodge. Now, think about playing online. All right, so if someone's trying to get out, they're mashing the dodge button. I can't mash once a frame. That's kind of ridiculous. And there's lag. You know, even on a good connection, you can have some amount of lag. So this bot being able to dodge out of your combo does not necessarily mean that a human online mashing dodge as hard as they can is going to be able to make it out. But it's a really good indication, a really good way to practice. Put them on dodge and make sure that you can keep them in it the entire time. The other thing to think about when you're practicing this is that your opponent, a real life opponent, can it's called knockout influence. In Smash it's called directional influence, and they can control a little bit the way that they get knocked away from your attacks. There's a really good advanced tutorial on this. At the time of this recording, that advanced tutorial is bugged. There's a Wonder Woman section that you cannot complete. There's some workarounds, but don't be discouraged by that. Do that knockout influence tutorial. You know, just get an idea of, okay, this is how much I can kind of wiggle. The more knockback an attack has, the more wiggle you can get. But it does influence this a lot, and it doesn't mean that they're going to get out of it every single time. It just means that sometimes Shaggy's going to go further away. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit closer. And it's all about just kind of walking him around and really controlling your opponent through these loops. So once you get really good at it, you know, you can kind of do whatever you want with them. Go left, go right, stay in the same spot. There's a lot of play there. All right, guys. So that's my Harley loop tutorial. Kind of just, you know, one step at a time. Take it really slow. Every time when I was playing in early alpha, every time I got on the play, I would just hop in for 5 minutes and just get a little bit of practice in, get kind of warm. It's probably not going to come to you in a day, but honestly, any of you guys can do it. I really believe in you. Like and subscribe. It does a ton for the channel. I really appreciate it. If you're having any problems at all, leave a comment. I read every single comment, and if you're having a problem and I think I can diagnose it, I'd be happy to help out. All right, guys. Good luck out there.